welcome.
Sorry.
Great.
Well, give it a minute. Oh, okay. All right.
Sorry, I just...
GM's going back to his corner now.
No, Jay, out of the corner, please. Lead us, Jay.
Should have? I don't know.
Thank you all for joining us for another exciting adventure of Aderjaeger. This week we will hopefully see some movement forward on the weird techno synth that has moved in on this song. Hold on. Let's try that again. There we go.
My favorite plot arc.
You must disguise yourselves as minstrels and basically
Bard
develop
game!
EDM. Alright. But we had actually had the party split last episode just about the time that we had technical issues. Jurgen had made it back to Stuttgart and had hired the Collectors Guild to return and perhaps to start salvaging the strange white adder that they'd felled in the Eros mine north of town. The rest of you, however, were working on a means of making masks. To cover the time that we lost last episode, this is something you're able to do. Victor had some scraps that he was able to put together, and even ended up having to remove some length from his sort of leather protective cloak. But you were able to produce probably 8 or 9 of these masks, but there's only enough oxygen bottles for about 4 people at a time. It's safe for you all to re-enter the mine if you wanted to, however.
I guess, do any of us know anything about recovering cores?
You
At
do have
least-
people that
yeah.
have that skill.
Yeah, at least 2 of you have adder anatomy, don't you?
Yeah. Well,
I
yeah.
fucking muted myself. I can do processing, but
Yes.
I'm not good
Alright,
for
well-
actual beginning steps.
Well, that is processing, really.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Shit.
removing the core is part of processing.
Because
Processing
between the 2 of us, we should get that core out because we're gonna start pumping oxygen in when the Collectors Guild gets here. But with the decreased oxygen, it won't spontaneously ignite. Is nice.
Yeah, it's much harder to burn, of course, when there's no oxygen.
That is preferable.
So y'all are heading back down in the mine, is what you're telling me, pretty much.
I think.
At least 2 of you.
Yeah. Probably bring Berthold along to lug some things if he's feeling up for it.
Berthold received excellent healing last session,
Oh, good to know.
so it will
Like
take 3 days, but you'll be back to normal quicker than you expect.
I got
Okay.
like 14 on that shit, so you are squared away.
And still
Excellent.
addicted.
Yes.
You
Well-
are still addicted, however,
Yeah.
because you just received some stock.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about the side effects of it for at least another week.
Yeah,
And then
okay.
we'll reset that clock again.
Yeah. Fun times. All right, yeah. Bertolt would still probably likely be hopped up on some adrenaline. Nearly dying, chopping off the leg of a giant monster, all these other things. Kind of like it takes a while for you to wind down. And
Yep.
the healing he was received, he probably wouldn't be. He wouldn't be feeling his best, obviously, but he'd be feeling better than when he first got out of the mine.
You'd be more chipper for sure. Though obviously you suffered some significant wounds there, going all the way pretty much to the 6, just below what would be start considering potentially lethal wounds. Or at least,
You need to, like,
wounds that, if not healed, would begin to snowball.
great.
Yeah, but he's also before becoming an Aderjaeger, he was a professional soldier, so he's pretty used to working through pain and everything as well.
He's taken some hits.
Yeah.
Well, would you be joining them down in the mine, or are you going to probably rest?
Because also there were those Aderjaeger weapons that I'd like to try and bring back up. I know they need some TLC, but I also lost literally all of my weapons down there.
Yeah. He's going to stay with the group until they at least manage to secure the adder. He wouldn't feel right going to do rest, but there's a chance that their kill could be attacked by other like rogue Aderjaegers, bandits, etc.
And that's a very real possibility in this world. The mine though does provide you with surprising amount of protection to that. They'd have to pretty much drill their way in from another direction to be much of a threat. But there are more. There have been more audacious plans executed by Aderjaegers, so it's not impossible. Down in the mine, you notice that because the oxygen level had dropped, most of the torches have either snuffed out or have begun to dim significantly, depending on the amount of oxygen in the pocket that they're in. The best choice you have is to use your blood lamps, which sort of cast sort of a pale blue glow versus the sort of bright orange or yellow of a torch, as a torch really wouldn't provide, well, it would be inconsistent lighting for what you're trying to do. Take you back down to thing. Despite this, though, the mine doesn't really have too many major obstacles that prevent you from making your way back down. You all are all over the place, so I will let whoever's down there adjust their pogs. But as you get down, the sort of lack of light, you notice something very strange. First of all, some of the pools of blood are still sort of quietly burning. Not
Oxygen
roaring
wise,
like before, but it almost seems like, as a real life reference, if you imagine a can of Sterno when it's split, it's sort of a low blue flame, almost as if whatever is doing this seems to be burning some form of oxygen.
is this? I feel like we should get out of here because doesn't this burn? Like, if there are things burning oxygen and we're already low in oxygen, this is burning our supply of oxygen.
No,
Our
you're
oxygen's
wearing a
contained.
mask. You've
Yeah.
got a
Oh, we do? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Did I miss that?
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Apparently. Okay. Holy shit.
That was what Victor was working on most of last session.
I just didn't know you had finished it.
I sped things up because we had technical issues at the end of last episode. I lost about a half hour to 45 minutes of game.
Gotcha.
So coming down, the beast hasn't moved, but you notice it's strange. It provides almost just enough light that you could start beginning harvesting. You will need some heavier blades than what some of you have left. Bertholt's halberd would probably be much more appropriate for the task of beginning processing than, say, Zygmunt's boot knife, which I believe is what you have
That's
left.
pretty much all I have left, yeah.
Can I rifle through the rest of the dead bodies and see if there's like a cudgel or something?
A cudgel? I mean, sure.
We're going to tenderize this adder.
I'm
Not-
going to tell you quite
What is it?
plainly that there are several hip bones that would make an excellent cudgel.
Okay,
Wait,
Malkash.
Why
wait,
are
not-
you
not the
looking for a cudgel?
Not a cut. Sorry, wrong word.
A cleaver?
A cleaver or like a large hunting knife, and by that I mean something that you would like cut bush with.
Machete?
Give me a circumstance roll. But I think that's pretty much why we added that roll. Yeah, you're actually able to find what was the end of a glaive, which, without the pole, is really just a big metal, like, kitchen knife style blade. It's not as efficient as it was when it was attached to a piece of wood, but it's still solid enough. You could definitely use it for hacking or slashing.
Elena would hand it to Zygmunt.
So Zygmunt will kind of head over to where just kind of nod as thanks, but he'll head over to where he had kind of stuck his knife in earlier, where he thought maybe that the core would be, and then just start kind of very carefully, knowing how fragile cores can be, starting to kind of peel away the layers of. It's very different than what he's normally done, because normally you just pry off the plates and there it is.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's more surgical, so He's trying to be very, very careful.
Okay. Trying to think. That would definitely be a phlegmatic roll. Does anyone
Son
want
of
to help him?
Yeah,
with
please help me, because that's not my best stat.
I will help. I have a 2 in phlegmatic, and I want to help.
Yeah, let her help. Mine's only a 1.
I got an 8 on my roll.
All right.
Oh,
shit.
What have you done?
so
Can Brita try to help?
okay, so I want to back up just a little bit because I think we need to clarify on rules. Just a second. First of all, to help you have to have a specialty that applies. So
Like processing.
like processing,
So, yeah.
not just phlegmatic. Phlegmatic is everybody's capabilities. And if it was a choleric test, that'd be one thing. Since this is more of a skill check, yeah, I think processing would be the best choice there.
I need more adder anatomy stats that relate to actual adder anatomy and not just hurting adder.
I mean,
That's-
I literally have processing, so should I roll?
yeah. I would say you would be the best choice there. And we're not much better off than we were before. I'm sorry, guys. That's just the way the core crumbles.
Fuck.
As you're kind of hacking in, both Brita and Elena, because that makes more sense in character, are kind of like, nah, you should go a little bit more this way, a little more that way. You kind of give it you reach a tough section of sort of sinew or muscle fiber, and you just really jab it in there, and you can feel it sink deeper and then stop, and then you can feel almost like a vibration
Shit.
pass through, and the sound of a crack.
Oh, you goofed, didn't you?
Now
a
I
little
need
goofed.
dodge rolls from everyone in the group now.
Oh, good.
That's
Dodge
phlegmatic
rolls.
again, isn't it?
Oh, wow.
Um,
Including Berthold?
yes. Well, I mean, how close are you?
He
Where was
the-
that a second ago?
He was being like right, like right there, pretty much.
Oh no.
You should be
Okay.
okay. But if they were in helping with processing, you need to roll.
No, he was looking at the weapons and everything,
Damn
the
it.
weapons and
Phlegmatic
bodies.
bullshit.
You still did better than me.
Okay.
Rita actually pushes Elena out of the way so that she can clear. I'm kidding. She doesn't fucking do that. She's nice.
That's something that could happen in 3.0. We'll talk about that later. But
Wow.
what seems to happen is as you kind of I said we'll get to that later. As the core breaks, there's sort of this eruption of fluid directly past the glaive's tip, and just sort of a spray of fiery blood shoots out and deflects off Zygmunt's chest piece and onto Elena. Zygmunt, you take 1 point of damage. Elena, you take 2.
Hey, guess who gets pushed up to 7?
Oh my!
I'm also at
Why
7
are you here?
Because nothing was supposed to hurt us.
here? Same, we're both at 7. We're now crawling back to Brita.
It's just
If you're both at 7, you
standing.
both collapse.
Son of a bitch.
I was
Alright.
healed. so-
Oh,
No, you received healing. You were not
Oh.
healed.
Well, yeah, I received healing, but I don't know if I need more now.
God in
Yep.
hell, what did you do?
Why are you two even down here? You were hurt.
I guess thematically, what I'd like Zygmunt to do, is try to like close up the wound that he made, and he's not able to close it up enough. And then it just sprays out over him and Elena, and he just kind of passes out.
Oh, you're not
Oh.
passed out. You're on the ground, literally
Okay.
writhing in agony.
Oh, okay.
At 7
Wonderful.
7 points of damage, if you are not stabilized, you will be.
So so I guess the question is, I received healing at 6.
Right, but you didn't get a night of rest.
Ah,
So can I heal him again?
Yeah, this is a new wound.
Motherfucker, you guys. Alright.
Hold on.
That's
a
for
second.
Zah!
Well, now I want to see that one. Hold on a second. I'm going back through the healing rules.
Okay, I'll stop
To
rolling.
use a medical hit to stabilize and heal someone at 7 or past, you roll 2d6 plus melancholic and remove 1 stock from the medical kit. On a hit, they stabilize and heal 2-6. A hit means a success. They will heal to 6, but the MC will choose one on a 10 plus, or 2 on a 7 to 9. On a miss, they take 1 harm instead.
So do I roll 2d6 now on top of that?
That is 2d6.
Yeah, that is 2d6.
Oh shit, you're right. But no, I thought it was 2d6 plus melancholic. Oh wait.
That is 2d6 plus
motherfucker.
You rolled a 1 and a 3. Plus
3
a 2.
actually just stabbed Zygmunt through the heart.
Well, maybe not through the heart. I'd like to keep my heart, please.
Doesn't kill him instantly. They just.
So I guess I'm up to 8 now. So
you're at 8, and you are still. At this point, I will grant you unconsciousness.
Yeah, okay. Zygmunt just passes out.
What are you doing? You just knocked the man out.
I'm sorry, there was this acid stuff on him. I tried to wipe it off. I just smeared it all around instead. I'm sorry.
All over his face.
I've never worked with this before.
His flesh is melting. What did you do?
Victor comes down. He's just got like you can just hear the deep breathing of an enlarged gas mask that he had built for himself. And he comes down. I've made some. Oh my goodness. do you need assistance?
Yeah, can we get these guys out of here? I'm not even gonna touch Elena right now.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Come here, friend. I'll carry you out.
Are you guys just gonna leave me here?
Victor comes over and he takes out like a pouch from one of his little pockets, and it's got a white ashy powder in it, and he kind of shakes it over both of your skins. And though the damage is done, the burning sensation doesn't seem to remain. That should help a little. Let's get you out of here. This is very good.
Hoist Zygmunt over his shoulder and begin to carry him out.
Okay.
You need to get Elena. I don't know if I can carry both of them.
Rita, are you gonna get Elena, or does Victor need to get Elena?
I think Victor needs to get Elena because I'm not. That's not gonna work.
Victor goes and picks up Elena and says, "Come on, let's get you out of this horrible mine."
Elena just kind of muttering to herself and fumbling like, "Nobody likes me."
You're gonna get enough pity for this kind of wound. You don't really need that.
Nobody likes me.
Not anymore.
That's because you're a bitch.
You're not there.
All of a sudden, Elena starts hallucinating that she's hearing Jurgen's voice, and she's just kind of looking around like, what the fuck is going on?
Okay. Once outside, you all can see there's sort of the sun is setting. It may be a good idea to attempt to rest tonight. However, Elena is going to need immediate medical attention.
Motherfucker. Alright, let me go
Otherwise,
kill
she's
her.
going to start losing health points per day instead of regaining health points per day. Alright, that's an 8. That's a partial success. 7 to 9, I choose 2. Elena, roll 1d7 twice. Or just 2d7. 7 and a 6. Got it. Okay. Congratulations.
What am I?
You are now addicted to humors. You also are going to require splinting of some sort. So you get to choose. Would you like to move half as fast or hit half as hard for a week?
I'll go hit half as hard.
Okay.
That's
Make notes of that on your character sheet.
Out of action consequence?
No.
Cripple.
No.
That's a debility.
That's a completely, that's a much more
That's the
severe.
thing. That's the thing I briefly thought about taking, just because it makes sense that acid would cause some scarring. But then I realized it's more for avoiding death.
All right,
Yeah,
I'll
that
put
is
it.
much
As,
more for avoiding death.
I'll put it under temporary bonuses. Even though it's not a
Also,
bonus.
wait, isn't addicted to humors under
Yes.
that she should
Addicted
take?
to humors is checkable under there. So.
I already have it. We're good.
So
Also, can I try to heal myself? Because I'm still 3 points of
You
hurt.
sure can.
How
well,
many
actually, how
Yeah,
damaged?
yeah.
You're at 3.
I'm at 3, yeah.
That should be, yeah. You can do that to yourself.
how many points do I heal for, by the way?
On a partial succeed, you healed to 6. So you're back within the safe zone of being injured, but you're still at a 6. Did you receive healing before?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Okay.
I think it was just me and Berthold.
Yeah,
We'll-
because
we'll
Brit
count
is a
that as-
bitch.
Wait, you want me to roll again?
Yeah. This happened last night. Okay, there we go.
Motherfucker.
So you're gonna
Can
heal.
I give her the 7 and me the 10?
No.
I'm kidding, don't do that.
So you're gonna heal on a 10. There we go. You're back at 6. You're healing 10. So basically, you're gonna heal 2 points a night of rest. Okay. In fact, I think everybody is healing 2 points of damage per night of rest.
Yeah, I'll be back to a 6 in the
yeah.
morning.
Actually,
How does that work? Because I just got
you're
stabbed.
Yeah, you're still at 8, aren't you?
Yeah.
See, this is where writing rules from nothing is always fun, guys. Let's see here. Medical kit 10 plus 9.
Should know better than to trust my phlegmatic stat for anything.
Special vital time. Rate of 1 harm per day before you collapse and risk death due to complication of your wounds.
Oh, good. So I'm still getting hurt.
Technically, yes, you are still going to be suffering wounds. I would say that. How much stock do you have left, Rita?
Let me look.
We had 4 at one
4.
point, didn't we?
You
4, not
4
enough.
still?
Yeah. Wait, hang on. I thought those. Okay, which of those
You just
rolls?
used 2 of them,
Okay.
at least.
So I have
Actually,
2.
no. For Berthold, didn't you use one?
Well,
Berthold,
when
did
do
you
you use
reach?
stock? Do you use stock to
Anytime
I
you're
thought-
6 or over.
How
Oh,
was that?
6 or over? Okay. So then we use 3 because we used 2 on me. Oh shit, we used 4.
motherfucker. You're right.
Jesus Christ, we're gonna be broke. This adder hunt is literally gonna bankrupt
It's
us.
7 or plus. 7
Oh,
or
okay, so 2 then.
2.
2. I have
Okay.
2 remaining.
So Berthold didn't get his stock.
No, Berthold didn't get his stock, so sorry, Berthold.
God damn it! Then what was that heal? I was supposed to got like a 14 heal. What was that supposed to be?
It gave you 2 per night.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You just don't have stock. Yeah.
Yeah, you're healing at an accelerated rate. You're just
Oh,
you're not using
Gotcha.
stock.
So, gotcha.
You're just
Okay.
withdrawed still.
Okay. So he's just gonna be. So he should be actually like angry right now, seeing people getting stock of him and on him.
Yes, but technically, not much longer. You'll be over that. If you
Oh.
don't receive stock again, you will eventually get past it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not a permanent condition. It is a. If you keep getting injured and keep requiring stock, yeah, it's gonna. You're just gonna stay addicted until such time as you go cold turkey again.
Okay.
So what you're saying is we should not get in any fights for a while.
Jesus Christ, no.
I mean, currently, I really wouldn't recommend it. In fact, if
Oh my
someone
God,
came
we're
in
gonna
and
be
just
so
went
broke.
down in the mine to take your stuff, I would just kind of let them at this point.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Circumstance check. No, I'm just kidding.
So Zygmunt just kind of wakes up and starts groaning.
Elena starts hitting the GM.
That's a fight you'll lose. I'm just gonna tell you right now. He'll
I
send
mean,
a
yeah,
gazebo
I
after
hit-
you.
Half as hard. I hit half as hard. Of course I'm gonna lose.
You could have moved half as fast.
But then, what's the use of having a character that has so many stats in phlegmatic and like none in forceful or aggressive?
You have a horse.
I am a horse god.
What I'm just saying is, you moving half as fast, you still have a horse. The horse is not slowed by your injuries.
I can also use the horse in combat to make me
Yes.
forceful.
So there you go. Does that answer your question? There are workarounds.
Can I get healed so I don't die?
Not till tomorrow morning.
Son of a bitch.
Sorry.
So like I just get hurt, so I'll start tomorrow
Actually,
morning.
no.
at 9,
I'm
right?
gonna just put that out there. If you just want to use the stock, that's why the stock mechanic exists, is to have you weigh that cost versus effort. So, Brita, I leave that to you.
I mean,
Worth noting, if you fail, he is at 9.
you think we
What's the
should maybe
worst that
just
could
not
happen?
rock the boat? Like,
I mean, he'll be at 9 by tomorrow evening if you don't do it.
So you have to do it at some point.
Yeah, you're gonna have to make that roll anyways.
Or take
Thank
him
God.
back to town. Okay. So make sure you mark off that
Yep.
3 stock that was used.
Yep.
Down to 1 stock.
Down to 1 stock.
Whew.
So you're now healing 2 per night, right?
2 per night again. So I'm back
Yes.
to 2 per night.
So you're just 2 per night. It doesn't stack.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, I know.
It just eventually. It means tomorrow morning. It means tomorrow morning you will be.
I'll be
Oh,
feeling
no, you're at
halfway to
6
death's
now.
door. No, I was at 6 and now I'm at 8.
Yes, but if the 7 plus. Let
Right.
me reread this for you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you said it goes back to 6.
Since it was a 10, see here, 7 plus, 10 plus, they heal 2 points for damage per night. Heal someone at 7 or past, 2d6 for melancholic, remove 1 stock for medical kit. On a hit, they stabilize and heal to 6. Roll 1d7.
So yeah, but I will handle this 1d7, I suppose.
Yes. A 5, that's a new one.
Oh, good.
1, 2, 3.
Please
4,
don't let it be the
5.
throw up one.
You have suffered a concussion and have a hard time remembering important info for the next 48 hours.
Oh, good.
That's a new one. It could have been worse. You could have rolled a 4 and be bedridden and out of action for at least a week.
Right, that's true.
Admittedly, you probably would be recuperating in Stuttgart, which wouldn't have been that bad. But you all are really quite damaged at this point, as the sun finally does set. Jurgen, how are things in Stuttgart as the sun finally disappears over the city walls?
At this point, Jurgen would probably be getting back up to go join the caravan of the Collections Guild that's going to be heading up to the mine.
As you sort of get up and are getting out of bed, there's a loud BAM! From downstairs. The sound of a firearm going off.
Jurgen's going to wait a moment to see if he hears any return fire, and then go ahead, put on his gear, and head downstairs to investigate.
You don't actually have to head downstairs. Just walking out on the balcony, you can see there's a man with a sort of short matchlock pistol standing over the horse that you had ridden into town. And him and 2 other people just kind of look up at you and just kind of shake their head.
Jurgen's gonna sigh deeply and say, "Shame," and head back inside to finish getting dressed.
boo.
The horse of non-note is now dead. Anyway, the time comes that you would have to meet up. You can it's not hard to find them. They've kind of created a rather impressive wagon train of probably 4 or 5 of these big metal carts. Torches and blood lamps pointing in every which way. It's going to be a long walk, a slow march, as it were, because these carts are heavy and they don't move particularly quickly. but they're loaded down with men and equipment.
Well, that suits Jurgen just fine because he doesn't necessarily need to be going fast, especially on only, 2-3 hours of sleep?
Makes sense. Can you give me not a choleric?
Might be.
Might be a choleric. Yeah, let's go choleric.
So
Give me
that'd
a
be
choleric
your
roll.
ability to kind of your general stamina. Well,
Okay.
not great.
Not
Wow.
great. Your feet are killing you about 4 hours into the walk. But there isn't really a great place for you to find a seat. For example, they're all sort of closed off. The men are riding up in the carts. You would have to perform a fairly impressive climb to get up over the edge, and you're not sure necessarily you would be welcome. Do you want to do that, or just keep walking on your injured legs?
Oh, I'll keep walking on my injured legs. I'm only on 1 on the harm clock. I'm the only one who didn't get the shit kicked out of him.
Okay. It is a long walk. The road is fairly rough. The wagons are able to sort of ride in the ruts, but you're having to, step over things, avoid road apples, those sorts of things. And you sort of come across the point where you came across those 2 Order of St. Michael's riders. And you notice that the horses seem to have diverged after they may have followed you for maybe a quarter mile or so. Like, they seem to have turned to follow you, but you can see 2 sets of horse tracks go off in different directions, as if they most assuredly had not followed you back to town.
Which directions did they go?
Left and right off the road. So east and west.
Do I know anything about what's out in those areas?
That would be a good question. Do you have a specialty about navigating or cartography, or?
No, but I have been to Stuttgart before.
Okay. Give me a circumstance roll. We'll see what you know about the. You know that it's pretty much nice, flat forest land until you reach pretty close to an hour or 2 before the mountains, where the mine is located.
So there's no villages out there, no little enclaves,
No known settlements. Nothing
Okay.
from when you were here last.
Okay.
And certainly for them to take 2 separate directions would make it seem like they weren't heading towards one specific area.
It is
They may
definitely
have
suspicious,
turned
though.
around or done something else. It is definitely suspicious, yes. They intentionally left a well-traveled trail, which is considered fairly foolhardy in this time. I mean, adders, Gulon, bandits, Waldschrott. It is not safe on the road, which is one of the reasons you're traveling with this convoy. The one advantage it brings is light. You're able to see quite well, considering how dark it is. But it is still a long, long walk. Give me another choleric roll, please. Okay. Give me 1d4, please. Okay. No, that's excessive.
Stub your toe. Take 3 damage.
Yeah.
You basically wear bloody sores on your feet. Blisters, boils, those sorts of things. But it's not ever going to be 3 points of damage equivalent in this system, no matter what. So I'm going to give you a point of damage for basically just force walking yourself throughout the evening.
Okay.
But the next morning, you'll find that the camp is really quite quiet. All the porters and guards are where they're supposed to be, but you don't hear the activity you expected. It seems like either people are sleeping in or something has happened since you left. As morning begins to rise.
Well, do we see anybody around? I mean, guards? Any of our guards?
guards.
Any of
Two
our
guards
porters?
at storage posted at the entrance.
Yeah, the 2 guards are sleeping against the entrance to the mine. Storch is sort of hobbling about, getting his pan ready for breakfast. You see porters moving stuff hither and yon, but you don't see, unless someone wants to correct me, who would be up at this early hour after what happened yesterday?
Rita probably would. She's got
Zygmunt's
enough
sleeping
health.
Yeah, so is Berthold.
Yeah.
Berthold's
I
probably
imagine
up with the
Elena is
shakes.
as well.
Sorry, hold on. I accidentally paged my team.
Okay.
Yes, I did actually, Liam. I'm sorry. We'll talk about it later.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so with for the most part, it seems like most of your party, except for Brita, seems to be sleeping in this fine and beautiful morning.
All right, then
Brita's around.
Jurgen's gonna hobble up to Brita and be like, "Is everyone asleep?"
Yeah, we took a bit of damage yesterday trying to get the processing done on the adder. We didn't actually make any progress, so everyone's just resting.
Jurgen's gonna kind of sigh. What's the situation down in the mine? The Collectors Guild is here.
Well, we're gonna need oxygen masks to even go down there, but we fashioned some the other day. I think, what was it, 4, Jay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't we have the
there's-
ability to turn the pumps back on?
No, the core burned.
Oh, I thought Victor said that he could maybe fashion something using.
Yeah, didn't he have
right,
a
if
core
they-
in his cart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does have a core in his cart. He could try to hook that up, but it would take a while. It seemed like this was the better option at the time. He spent most of the day making the masks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I fucked it up.
You didn't fuck it. The dice fucked it up.
We're gonna take such a huge loss on this hunt.
But yeah, Brita just be like, we fashioned 4 masks to keep us able to breathe when we go down there, but that just means that for now we can only have 4 people down there at a time, and
4
the
people, that's not going to be
anatomy-
enough. Can't we turn the oxygen back on? What's...
I don't know the details on that, but it might be possible. You'd have to talk to Victor.
Where is he? And Jurgen's gonna start hobbling off at haste to try and find Victor.
Jurgen, are you lame?
Jurgen's not gonna say anything to that. He's just gonna keep on hobbling.
Did you walk all the way back?
Jurgen's still not gonna say anything and keep on hobbling.
Jurgen!
Jurgen's
As you
looking
sort of
for
reach
Victor.
Victor's cart, he just sort of pops out with a cup in his hand, steaming with something. You can't quite tell what it is. But he kind of opens the door with a considerable effort, since it's a fairly large metal door. Oh, hello! You're back!
Yes, and I've got the Collectors Guild with me. How are we gonna get them down in the mine, though, if there's no oxygen?
Well, we were able to fashion some of these pressurized masks yesterday that should provide some of the men access.
4 men's not enough.
Well, we could perhaps get the blowers on, but it will take another day.
Alright, I'll have to speak with the foreman. Do what you can about the blowers, but I'll speak to the foreman and see what we can do about all this.
Well, I'll see if I can hook the steam output from the cart to it, but I'm going to need to borrow some of your horses to move my cart. Is that okay?
I guess it's going to have to be.
Well, then we should be able to get this working. Just, will take time. The other core... no good.
I'm pretty sure, or that was the explosion when we walked up.
It may have been related, slightly. But it's hard to say. Who can ever know these days? Anyway, you go talk nice Collectors Guild. I'll move my cart. And he kind of just nervously goes back into his cart and closes the door behind him.
Rita's still trailing after Jurgen and trying to get his fucking attention.
Jurgen's summarily ignoring her, but maybe leaving little bloody footprints through his shoes. But he's actually, before he goes and sees the foreman, he's going to go to one of their carts and find the big old chest of gold. And he's gonna bring that over and more or less approach the, well, he's gonna look and see who seems to be in charge of the, Collectors Guild.
That is not hard at all. Pretty much as soon as the cart arrived, a very athletically built, but obviously older man, white hair, short, had hopped off the front of the cart next to the coach driver and started pretty much shouting orders. Not in German, but in French, actually.
Oh, no,
I'm saying
he's
that
a
not because you
Frenchman.
might necessarily recognize what he's saying, but so much as recognize that you'd recognize French when you heard it.
Wait, Rita's got some French blood. I don't think she speaks it though.
Jurgen, there's going to be a pause in his step as he hears the French, and just, if his face could get any angrier, it does. He ages visibly 3 years in that moment. Just the wrinkles get heavier, his face darkens, and then he continues hobbling over towards the Frenchman with the chest of gold.
Ah, good morning.
Good morning. I believe if you were promised to pay up front this time?
Yes, we were told to be careful around you. It seems last time you tried to short the staff.
Well, you have no worry of that. I've come to pay you already. Oh.
Certainly, certainly. So, where is the adder?
Unfortunately, it's down in the mine, but the blowers are disabled at the moment. For the first day of work, we're not going to be able to get more than 4 men down there at a time. We do have some oxygen masks, but it's going to take a day for us to get the blowers back online. I was just speaking to an engineer, someone from the engineering guild that's on site.
Mon Dieu, you mean underground?
I do.
How did it get down there?
I have no idea.
Well, how big is it?
About 20 feet? No, not much more.
He kind of looks, sort of cocks his head to the side. That's rather small for an adder, isn't it?
It's incredibly small. Stranger still, this creature lacked plates. It had some sort of strange skin instead of the usual, and Jurgen kind of at this point would just make a gesture with his hand and then trail off.
And he kind of looks at you, and then he motions to one of the local porters and in French asks him to bring him something, and the kid runs off. 20 feet. No plate. Are you sure it's not a shard beast?
Oh, we're positive it's not a shard beast.
Yeah, the broken core to prove it.
Go back to bed.
Jurgen doesn't know they broke the core. He's still convinced that he felt the core when he cut into it.
Yep.
Maybe Jurgen broke the core, guys. Let's just go with that.
Sigmund won't remember that he broke the core because he's concussed.
Oh, don't make this Breed is the only one who knows. She doesn't need this.
Elena's softly snoring in the background.
So, the porter runs out with the book, and he kind of opens it up and flips it through it. It's got her Damarung, right?
That's correct.
Says here your company's been around for 20 years now.
Yes, as far as I know.
You say this is an adder.
Yes.
He kind of looks at you with this just somebody's not getting it. He's not sure if you don't understand or if he doesn't understand, but there's just quizzical look on his face. And he hands the book off to the porter, and the kid runs off with it. Well, we have some temporary blowers that we can get down in there. Should let us do a little bit of work, but they only last for so long. But we should be able to at least start the processing. What other than that? What other hazards are there?
Well, the blood seems caustic, and at this point, Jurgen, with his thumb and pinky, is going to pick up his axe off his waist and hold it
Yeah.
so that you can see the flat of the blade where there's been a bit of where the metal has
Splash?
been. Yeah.
Yeah. And he looks at you. Going, this may be the strangest job ever.
You're
I
telling
love it.
me.
Let's do it. All right, men. Get your stuff. Let's get down there. Oh, it'll be. And he kind of does some math in his head. I want to say 35. I would say 40. But you've intrigued me, he says, and he kind of laughs heartily and pats you on the back. So let's do 35.
Well, Jurgen's gonna kind of just shake his head like, yeah, that's expensive, but it's better than 40, and they're not on the best terms with the Collections Guild, so he's just gonna take what he can get and go ahead and count out the 35.
Okay. So, from 51,000.
Oh, it hurts.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying we're gonna end up with a loss on this. I'm so sad.
Oh, great. Now my calculator won't load.
Hang on, I can calculate it real quick.
Oh no, I got it on my phone. Just I pulled it up on Windows, and Windows went, no.
Should be 26,914, right? Oh wait, no.
16,914.
16,914. Yep, my math is bad.
Yeah, 16,914. That is correct.
Hooray!
That's enough for one whole suit of Aderwaffe.
What whole suit of Adderwolf?
Well, the frame.
Well, we have some more shards.
Yeah,
That
but
we
the
can
core would have been
lose.
$10,000.
Shush.
He doesn't know yet. It's fine.
And some corrupt adder blood.
So
Find some
the
We just
Wow.
need to find a way to sell it. That's all. It's unique.
It is.
Let's make a fucking tourist attraction out of this mine. We'll be rich.
Yeah, we really should probably stud out Adelbert.
so and we'll move you back then.
So Zygmunt's definitely not down there.
Yeah, gonna throw Zygmunt to a different layer.
He's
There you go.
gone.
And Bertolt or Elena?
They're both gone, aren't they?
Okay.
Brita followed Jurgen down though, because she's still trying to get him to chill for a second so she can figure out why he's walking in blood.
That's a good question.
Jurgen's doing a real good job ignoring her.
All right. Once down there, you can see the foreman, and he's probably got 10, 12 workers with him. They've been setting up these little boxes. They're wooden boxes with sort of a weird sort of pump, and they push upright. And there's hoses running between them, and they sort of seem to be forcing air along the path and forcing it further down in sort of a bellows mechanism. And as you sort of get down to the end, there's the foreman just sort of stands there and says, "Well, I'll be. I knew it'd be interesting to leave home and come here, but I never expected this." And he kind of goes over and he steps over the puddles and burning. This is like nothing I've ever cut into. This is skin. He kind of looks back at Jurgen as with the questioning look.
Jurgen's gonna just give him sort of a shrug and a nod.
The blood seems to burn, but you said that the blowers have been deactivated since when?
Yet the day before? They were knocked out shortly before we went down to kill the beast.
So it's burning on its own. Sort of nods. And you want all of it collected? How does it stay upright?
I can't answer that for you, unfortunately.
Well, I'm sure, as you know, adders have an exoskeleton. They support the weight through the plates that go all the way to the ground and back up. They don't stand upright like bony creatures. They're more like little crabs, little crustaceans. This is atypical. And claws? He kind of reaches down and the beast is flailed up on its side with a large front leg up in the air, and he kind of pulls on the talon. It's like an adder blade, but preformed.
Dibs.
This is
Not there.
You ain't here. Piss off.
this is unusual. Well, do you want us to get you if we find something unlikely? I'm assuming you want everything, right?
Oh, absolutely. Everything.
All right. And he kind of just walks around the side of the beast and looks at it and runs his hand across the skin and touches at the wound and kind of pulls his hand back when he feels the burn, kind of tingle at his fingertips, and wipes it on his sort of leather chaps. And he looks over and he goes, 35? Like he's pondering whether that's the right price. This is like nothing we've ever worked. It may take some days. You say the blood's acidic. And he kind of looks down at his hand. That will complicate. We will have to drain the body of fluid first. Yes, we'll need a week.
Jurgen's just gonna nod along with that. Well, I'm sure my company could use the rest, along with all that.
Please, God.
But we'll try to get the main blowers, activated up in the day. That way you can have the week you need.
We will make do one way or another. This is much smaller, but like nothing we've ever dissected. I can't say that headquarters is going to be happy with you, but I don't think they'll be upset about this. This is unique. Magnificent. Yes, alright. We will need at least 4 days, possibly 6. But we shall carve up the beast, yeah. Right and proper.
Excellent. Excellent. And at this point, Jurgen's kind of absent-mindedly, not so much looking at the Frenchman, but looking at the previous Aderjaeger that are strewn across the fiery ground, and just kind of maybe leans down to pick at and see what he can see.
Well, you see, the first thing that hits you is the contortion of what's left of the faces. This was completely unexpected. These men died in horrible agony, thinking they knew what they were facing. And they were wrong. That is, those of them that still have flesh attached to their bone. The combination of acid and flame had done a fantastic job stripping most of them. And Kletterpanzerung that they were wearing is destroyed. The adder plate that still was sort of piecemeal attached to it just shattered, lying on the ground, broken free from its mounting system on the Kletterpanzer. But there seems to be several weapons mixed in. Some are missing the haft entirely. In fact, there's the tip of a glaive, now half corroded by acid, lying on the ground next to the beast, for example. All of which could probably be repaired and reused, if someone was willing to go through the grisly task of fishing them out.
Jurgen's willing to go through the grisly task of fishing them out, although at the same time, while he's doing that, and if we have the time, Jurgen's also going to try and transport their bodies up to the top so that he can bury them and give them final rites.
You're basically going to have a box to put their remains in to move them out.
Okay.
You can't just put your arms underneath their arms and drag their bodies out, because large portions of the bones have disconnected. So you'll be picking up mostly scarred bones, shattered shields, those kind of things.
Well, Oh god, what does it say about mixed graves? Isn't there something specific in the Bible about that?
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not great.
Alright, then before Jurgen goes through their equipment, he's gonna head up and see if he can find some, basically, coffins, although improvised. That way he's not mixing graves.
I mean, okay. As you go up, who would you approach to ask about this? Because you're not carrying those on you.
No, of course not.
Unless you want to use some old casks.
Jurgen's actually just gonna look around the site, because I know you said they basically...
Storch, drain this keg.
Oh
You
god.
need to put a body in it.
No, he's gonna look around the site, because you said they stripped basically everything useful from the surface of the mine.
And the office burned
Yeah.
down.
But he's just gonna have a look around and see if maybe they abandoned some boxes, something that they didn't think was worthwhile.
It's funny you mention that. Because if we go to the other map, though this could be hard because this is, I gotta do something for this map. So you can actually see stuff. So give me just a second here. Once
I do see some wheelbarrows.
Yep.
Mine
I turn
carts?
off light? Did I turn it off? Can you see
So-
everything? No, you
Nope.
can't see
No.
everything. Alright, come on now.
We'll get there eventually.
Oh, they recently did an update. There it is. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
There we
Yeah, there we
go.
go.
So smash
There
barrel.
are some barrels. There are some boxes that used to have explosives in them. Lots of barrels, all the way towards the end of the mine.
Then, yeah, actually, if there's a wheelbarrow and some barrels, Jurgen's gonna load those up and start heading back down to get the men and basically one man to a box so he can bury them later.
Okay, and you've not had any treatment on your feet this
Nope.
whole time. Okay, you're gonna take
Brita
another
is
point of
still
damage.
following him. Fuck you! God damn it! No, she's trying to get him to stop. She's trying to help.
Trying to and getting him to. Are two
Good
very
luck
different
stopping
things.
Jurgen from.
Okay, she's actually physically impeding him now. She's going to be like grabbing his arm and being like, "Jurgen, why are your feet bleeding?"
Damn you, woman.
When she decides to kill you,
What?
I don't actually just want to kill him.
What is this?
Instead of healing him,
Don't
she just stabs him in the back.
that's when she decides to kill you. I'm not gonna stop her.
Oh my god.
That's my Kojium.
Jurgen would just look at her and be like,
No, don't
those
do
men
that.
those men deserve their last rites.
Okay, well those men aren't getting any deader, so I please fix your feet before you go any further.
Jurgen's gonna huff and look at her for a moment as if he's trying to find a good reason to argue before finally sitting down on one of the barrels that he was about to load up onto this cart and start taking his shoes off.
That's a partial success.
I'm not using stock
Not
for
very
his
much. Well, of course not. He
Okay.
doesn't have damage over that side. Oh, he doesn't even have to do it. It's you. Oops, excuse me. 6 lower. No effect. 7 heal at regular speed. 7-9 will heal in half the time, so you will heal 1 point per night.
Hoo-hoo.
There you go.
Alright, you're all bandaged up. I did some origami on you. Now go do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care.
Go do that voodoo that you do.
That voodoo is Catholicism, my friend, and I will not tolerate this heresy. We're gonna have to get everybody get your torches and pitchforks. We're burning the GM.
Wow.
Burning the GM
You're
at
just
the
going
stake.
back to bed.
You'd be amazed how much Catholicism is in voodoo.
Oh, I know. Like, yeah, isn't there a whole thing about a bunch
Pretty
of
much, yeah.
saints? Yeah.
It's impressive.
That and sangria, yeah. No, it's not sangria. Sangria is the drink. What is it? Santiera? Nah, never mind. Not a discussion for this campaign.
Yep.
COC maybe. Okay, you've now at least had your feet bandaged. You're not just putting bad on bad.
No.
but that means you should be at 3 currently, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure we have our recording correct. Okay. So, I'm going to need... You're just getting the bodies, right? You're not
Well,
sorting through arms or anything?
No. I am sorting through arms as I go through the bodies. Basically, anything that's usable, putting it off to the side, and then loading the body up.
Okay. Now I'm trying to decide, do I want to have you do a test to determine how observant you are, or do I want to just have a circumstance test to determine that? So... Oh, who rolled?
What?
Kayla rolled. Circumstance? I don't know why.
Kayla, I thought you were asleep.
She's
Ah.
sleepwalking into the mine.
Yes.
Okay. You trip, fall, take 3 points of damage. No.
Frida, I need healing
Not
again.
healing you. Nope. Nope.
We're running out of stock.
That takes you
Someone
to 9,
else switched
so...
to a support.
No. We had a full day, so that means I was down to 4. So +3 would mean I'm back up to 7.
Yep.
Wait, did we have a day? Okay, we're
No.
back.
You had a 9.
Right.
You did heal 2 points.
All right, so I'm down to 6.
No, you're down to 4.
Oh shit, yeah.
Because you heal to 6 when you have
Right, that's right.
I'm down to 4.
Everything's amazing again. I'm ready to fight somebody.
I mean, I would not recommend...
Sit
I'm ready to fight.
down.
No, you did not fall. I was joking. You don't need to be randomly rolling either.
You're gonna fumble one of these, and then the GM's gonna punish you. Because it's what I would do.
No, not every GM is like Locus.
Jay's
Jay
like
might be a
Locus.
little.
A little
I,
bit.
That situation, yeah.
I was Locus's GM for a very long time.
Yeah.
That said, I do think, yeah, give me a circumstance roll. Now, this is a weighted circumstance roll because somebody in the party already technically has a success on it.
Okay.
So, this is not for that person. This is for the rest of you. Okay? So, go ahead and roll.
Yes.
I'll take it.
You're actually able to find quite a bit. So, with an 11, I'm going to say that, with the exception of the one person who needs to discuss more precisely what they want, that person being Zach, the rest of you, if it's not an Aderwafa, what would you like?
I just got a really nice new gun. Like, I don't know if I need anything else.
Okay, you can pass.
Well, actually, I could use a melee weapon.
Okay, choose a melee weapon.
Someone else go. Let me think about this.
Everything you'll find will need repair, but is otherwise repairable.
Are these weapons like the weapons that like there's normal weapons, or the weapons that be used for the powered armor?
That's what we're getting to. You,
Okay.
because you actually have something connected with this, you will be finding something different. Based
Okay.
on the move that we were talking about you using.
Gotcha.
But for everyone else, this is a treasure hoard, effectively. You can choose whatever you would like to just add to your equipment that you don't already have. Or you feel you're lacking. Or you need to replace. They all will
Everything?
require...
Actually, wait, no.
to
I
an
think
extent.
my hook spear landed somewhere over here,
Yes.
and then just
That's
was
where it's
never picked back up. So I guess we can get that back at some point.
But
So
you
I
could
need
get a
sword
new... You could get a new sword.
or a new lance, but
Actually, you could get both.
oh well, all right. Then I'll choose both.
Remember, there were eight Aderjaegers that came down to this mine. One of their weapons is spoken for, but all the sidearms, those kind of things, those are all something you all could choose. So, you lost a sword, you can get a new sword back. It's going to need to be repaired probably back in Stuttgart. but these will be excellent weapons. They won't be Aderwaffe, but they
Better
can be
than what
repaired.
we would have normally.
Right. They're better than what you left home with. This is a destroyed, seasoned Aderjaeger party.
Also, at some point, I will need to get more lances because every adder we fought, I have lost at least one lance against.
Yeah. Or you
Yes,
could get an NPC that can make you lances.
It would be nice.
You don't have a smith on payroll. You have a hunter, you have a guard. You could have an engineer. You don't have a smith on staff. But
Because the only
that is-
smith that likes us so far was like a cripple, wasn't he?
He was an old man that lived in Forsyth. I don't
Can
know if he
we-
liked you so much as he was much more tolerable than his kids were.
Right.
Can we befriend a smith?
But I guess
sure.
if
You can
people,
hire a smith.
yeah,
I mean,
I
you'll
guess
need
if
money to do
people
that.
don't like, I don't know what people will want, but I guess if I will definitely take a replacement sword and maybe a replacement lance if there's extra.
There is enough items here that you all probably are not competing. So as long as you don't say, I want 12 swords.
I mean,
want-
Damn
I
it, there
always
goes my melee plan.
I always want 12 swords, but
Well, yeah.
What happens is they were curved.
where would I? Oh shit!
Well, his
Put one in
first
your teeth,
one was sword.
two in your
It was
hands.
curved. He was a hussar.
and then put 2 in your armpits, and then 2 in your kneecaps, and then stick 1 in your
That's right,
butt.
because they did have the sabla.
Mhm.
And if you were a girl, you'd have another place.
Rita's just okay. We're moving right along with that. Rita's
Switch
just
staff,
gonna grab
everybody.
a short sword and some sort of like small dagger. And that's really all
Cat's
she needs.
Balger.
Okay.
Yeah,
What's a cat's ball?
Goes even tight.
No, you want a cat's Balger, trust me, sweetheart. It is
Balger.
a short sword and you want it.
they are
Okay.
looking swords.
Lucas is always looking out for me,
Yeah. Okay.
It was
so
often
just,
used by archers.
I guess.
Just put it down. Write it on your sheet.
I don't even know how to spell that sneeze that he used.
Cat's
to
balls.
Think of how a German would spell it and spell it that way.
That's. You know what? That's pretty accurate.
I put a picture and the spelling in the Aderjaeger channel.
There you go.
Oh, all right.
So, yeah, I'm not gonna make you make a decision right now. You'll find it. Just put something down. You have next week, and then next week you all can take it and get things repaired.
I do have a question for
Yes.
you, Jay, but I can ask it later.
Okay. Please hold off on just a second. Berthold,
Yes.
you had seen something very specific when you came down the first time into the mine. I don't know if you remember that though, because a lot's happened since that game.
Could you refresh your memory?
You saw, though broken, an Adderlaw, a specialized halberd of some sort.
Oh yeah, now I remember. Okay.
It's something you had been looking for, something that was out there. Can you describe what it's like?
Would this be the switchblade? About the
If that's what you wanted to go with, yeah.
the switch. Basically, it would be a hybridized weapon built around specific pneumatics that. Gosh, how to describe this weapon? It's just insane. Basically, it starts off effectively as a poleaxe, but when triggered with its pneumatic systems, it will shift into a two-handed sword, basically. And it's definitely it's Aderwaffe. It's fairly high tech. and it is definitely fancy stuff.
And it is currently shattered.
Gotcha.
It's not something that you could do, but it is not like anything by itself.
So basically, it's a quest to repair it now.
Yes.
Excellent. I love it.
You have the pieces, you don't necessarily have the plan. So, but it is there. The parts are there. It's a parts kit, effectively. Now you gotta find someone who knows how to put it back together, and you've got to get the parts that might not have made it through the attack.
Gotcha. Okay, this is gonna be great. I love it.
Okay. But everyone else, take this as a chance to basically upgrade your current carried weapons if you want. You don't have to, though.
I just want to know how many shardlock pistols I can find.
None.
God damn it.
There were no firearms in this group, which is probably why they were so easily destroyed by the multiple bursts that they faced. Coming into darkness and then facing, that kind of area of effect damage like you all dealt with. It just devastated them.
Them green old poofty pups.
Acid got between the joints of the armor, fire burned on the surface. There was nothing they could do to really protect themselves. You all took some damage too because of it. It was a hard-won fight, it was only completed efficiently and without further damage because you all had taken some time and did some preparation. You brought the big fucking gun. And because Zygmunt can bench press crystals out of the ground, that helps too.
It was definitely a useful talent.
So, yeah. Do you have additional... Is that the only question you had? Was how many shardlock pistols were there?
Yep.
Yeah, if they had shardlock pistols, they may have been better off. If they had any kind of significant range, they probably would have been better off. They did not. And you can tell from the way their bodies fell, they were in line, in a phalanx, when the fire hit. And that scattered the line, and then a few more shots just brought them to ruin. It was not a good way to go. You can tell that as you're picking up the bones and putting them into individual barrels.
In that case, then yeah, I'm gonna have to think about how I would upgrade Jurgen.
Okay, well, you'll have some time to do that. It'll take you most of the day to get these bodies sorted. 8 individual bodies. You are rather puzzled sometimes as to which part would go to which body, as some limbs have been separated or sort of sloughed off and rolled down the incline towards another body. It's kind of a demented jigsaw puzzle in a way. But for the most part, you feel pretty satisfied you're able to separate each body.
Well, that's good.
The Collectors Guild is rather appreciative that you did that and they didn't have to, because they were getting tired of stepping over them. But they seem to be making good progress. The skin was off the beast entirely by the end of the first day. So we're just going to go a little bit into montage time because you all need the rest to heal. And there's really not a whole lot you can do down in the mine. So you've collected the weapons, you've collected the bodies. And then, for the most part, the Collectors Guild, that they wouldn't shoo you out, there wouldn't be a whole lot for you to do down in the mine.
At some point, though, once the skin is off, Jurgen is just not necessarily get in the way, but just kind of stand off to the side and see how it holds together without the skin.
Surprisingly well. It's sort of composed. It's got like a fattier substructure than most adders, which are just sort of muscle fiber attached in long bundles that run from end to end. Sort of as if it was... Adders are kind of constructed as if they're a giant mass of worms. Because that's the demented form of structure that they devised. This is seemingly much more fleshy. Fat seems to bond the muscle fibers together and form a more rigid structure. Now, it's still a little gooey, like you'd expect it to be, but it is a much more rigid, and that's probably why it has so many legs. And they're short legs, because it can't necessarily support a strong upright form without that many legs. So it effectively went probably from almost like a worm, like a giant maggot or worm sort of wiggling about, and eventually developed sort of short legs to assist, which gave it surprising amount of mobility, which is what you faced when you fought it. But when it wasn't bothered, it probably didn't necessarily need those legs, sitting in darkness. A very real possibility that there may be more of these things out there.
Interesting.
Once again, Jurgen's frown kind of just deepens on his face, and he gives his head a small shake before heading up from the mine and making a straight line for where I assume Storch is going to be hanging out, and grabbing a mug and filling it up with ale. Carefully measuring it, but otherwise filling the mug with ale, as much as it can take.
Okay, you won't have to roll that.
Right. But Jurgen's going to, he's going to take his whole daily allotment of ale in one sitting, basically.
And that's not unusual for your group. Storch, for example, typically takes his weeks in one sitting.
Yeah.
But as you sort of sit down, you find probably most of you all have now probably made your way up at this point, injured as you are. So I think really the question comes down to who's going to tell Jurgen.
Burrito will.
I don't remember. Sigmund like wakes up.
Yeah.
Sigmund actually gets up in the morning and like starts putting on his armor, like getting ready to hunt the adder, and somebody has to stop it.
Just walks
Rita's-
out of his tent in full armor. Walks, Adalbert, come, the chase is on.
Yeah.
There's porters running after him. So Sigmund,
He's grabbing his last
stop.
lance to try and like make sure that he's getting ready to kill this adder. Where's my sword?
Going for some windmills.
No, Quixotism is not one of the side effects. Just amnesia. Short-term memory loss.
Jurgen sees Zygmunt getting ready to mount up Adalbert with his lance, sighs, knocks his head back, and drains the last of the ale before getting up. Zygmunt, we've killed it already.
Sigmund's got like a big bandage on his forehead that he doesn't realize it was there. That. Are you sure?
I'm absolutely certain. You took a blow to the head. I think you need rest.
Sigmund reaches up and touches to the slightly bloodied bandage that's on his forehead. That sounds right.
Brita,
Yes.
would you please help him get settled back down?
Yeah, come on, we're going back to the tent. You're gonna sit down and you're gonna stay there.
Berthold will be up by now, and he would actually be laying the various pieces of the Adderwolf out, trying to see if he can like figure out the overall shape of it, and realizes how massive the weapon is, and is kind of like in awe of it.
Once Brita gets him back into his, just fucking resting,
Sigmund goes back to
she's
bed.
she's gonna go back to Jurgen and just be like, can I talk to you real quick? Just little setback.
A little setback, and he just kind of narrows his eyes at her a little bit.
Yeah, why don't you sit down? So because of the unique anatomy of this creature, extracting the core was a bit of a learning curve. So
Oh, God.
now we have a shard.
Jurgen, having not sat down, just kind of raises a hand and just presses his face into his hand and shakes his head. Keeping this.
Rita uses her passive of her calming voice to not tilt him off the face of the earth.
Jurgen just sighs heavily and continues to shake his head before finally saying, "Well, I'm glad we've already paid the Collectors Guild, because this is looking to be more and making less and less money off this as we go."
Yes, it does seem that way.
Well, we do still have the 10,000 coming in from the guild once we have the body fully removed. Let's see. Lord in heaven, help us.
Bertolt, I think you're approaching this wrong. Yes, it's an itty-bitty little adder compared to what we normally hunt, but you've seen it. It's nothing like we've ever hunted before. I think we just need to market it effectively. If we find the right people in Stuttgart to sell the parts to, I think we can make a tiny little profit off of it.
You know, he might be onto something there.
I think he is, but we have another small complication. And this time Jurgen lifts his head and runs his fingers under his chin to scratch at sort of his neck. There were 2 riders from the Order of St. Michael when I was returning to town. When I passed them on the road, they turned to follow me. I ended up... And Jurgen pauses, taking a moment to think about how to explain that he killed that horse. When I drove the horse into a gallop, they galloped after. Although when we returned, I lost them somewhere along the road. But when we returned the next day, they left obvious tracks leading deep into the woods. I can't understand why. Is there anything in the woods that you know about in east and west? Because they went 2 separate directions, Brita.
Would Brita know, Jay? Who is
No.
muted? Oh, okay, then yeah. Not that I can think of.
There are always temporary settlements in the woods, especially now as you're getting into spring proper. Woodcutters head out quite often because it's hard work in the winter, and people need wood and charcoal all the time. So yeah, you'll have logger camp that'll show up, and they'll exist for 2 to 3 months, or sometimes they'll be reused multiple times. But there's none specifically that would come to mind as far as anything that would be considered really a town. They're little more than camps, and in a lot of these places, it's little more than a well that's revisited once every few years.
Well, she just kind of shrug and be like, I mean, there are small camps, but there's no more actual cities or towns in that direction, so they're not heading anywhere noteworthy on a map.
Jurgen just kind of drops his hand and sighs, shrugging a bit. Point being, I don't know what they were doing out in those woods or why they immediately turned to follow me. What their interest in this is, or what their interest in us is, or me even. If we have found something truly unique, then they may very well want to acquire it. You know how they dabble in research into these subjects.
Just as you say this, the foreman, the old Frenchman, sort of appears at the front of the mine and walks over towards your sort of sitting area and kind of motions for you with a sort of nod of his head.
Speak of the devil, and Jurgen's just kind Actually, that's not necessarily the most appropriate use to speak of the devil. Whatever, he said it. Anyways, Jurgen's gonna go ahead and head over. While the two of them think about that what he said was just completely grammatically wrong, and he really should use his learning more.
Rita's gonna trail after him because she has nothing else to do right now.
Did he just say learning?
Yeah, he's
Yes.
an educated man, and he should use his learning.
Yeah.
Reads a lot of the bubble.
Anyway,
Welcome.
heading down into the mine, the foreman really doesn't say too much, but he does about halfway and say, "We found something unusual."
It had a pre-shattered core. Who knew?
Just never happens. We don't understand. Normally they come out like this. He pulls out a diagram. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, this whole mission is turning out to be quite unusual, so what is it?
I'm guessing you went with Jurgen when they go down in
Yeah,
the mine? Okay.
I tried to say that, yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I had to step away for a second. What'd I miss?
Oh, okay. The foreman had told you that they found something unusual.
Oh, that's it? Then
Yeah.
Jurgen's just gonna come down and be like, well, let's see it.
As you sort of walk in, he doesn't seem to elaborate because he seems like he's not sure how to describe what they found. But getting to the bottom, you notice that the carcass is coming along. It's been almost bisected completely at this point. And I wouldn't say so much on view as visible, as they've got blood lamps and various torches and whatnot pointing light at it. There's sort of a strange green, almost bulbous organ sitting about the center of the beast. And it's dyed that same sort of teal green as the beast's blood. And it seems to still be beating.
What?
Jurgen's axe is gonna come out. He's not going to immediately reach out and cut this thing to pieces, but he's gonna go ahead and remove his axe from his belt and then look to the foreman with eyebrows furrowed and just confusion evident on his features.
I think we've found your beast's burning heart. And as he says that, the organ sort of convulses, and a sort of that same thickened version of that blood seems to pump out sort of as a splot. And it seems to splurt it out as the sort of veins and pathways that it connected to have now been severed and cut away. And a small fire burns at the base of the beast on the stone. We've
I
been
wonder what's
watching
in...
it, but it's been doing that for 12 hours now. We thought it would stop.
God above.
I wonder what's inside it that's keeping it going, or if it's just something intrinsic in the organ itself. I've not seen anything like
This
this.
is our golden goose, guys.
We haven't cut into it because we're not quite sure what we'll find, but it seems to be producing this fluid at a regular rate.
It's just
There's an opening here, and it's gritty, and he reaches in with a gloved hand, and there's sort of this flash of flame as the leather kind of forces the fluids. It seems like whatever it was chewing those crystals. And it used the powder, and he kind of pulls the organ open, and then there's just a stench, not so much rotten as just acrid and chemical, as he kind of pulls the opening. I believe it's like a gizzard, a vestigial gizzard of some sort. But we've never encountered anything like this. And all it seems to produce is this burning blood. There doesn't seem to be any traditional blood. As far as we can tell, it looks like it pumped it towards the outside and used it sort of as... Well, it used it between sort of the fatty muscle layer and the skin. And it compressed that with its legs to propel this fluid forward.
well, that explains how it was breathing fire.
Sigmund's back up and half dressed in his armor when he sees that people have come out with a heart.
Oh no, the heart's still down in the mine.
Oh, well,
You
never
could go
mind.
down there if you wanted.
Nobody's gonna let him down there, but
Well, I think we'll need to cut into it at some point, but after
But-
nearly wiping
was
2 of our other party
pretty-
members, we ought to do that in a much more protective manner.
He just looks wiping?
Never mind.
I'm not
Oh.
certain we do need to cut into it.
I'm curious how long it will produce this fluid.
Indeed.
I'd like to excise it from the beast, but I'm not sure we have a safe place to store it currently.
How would it be stored safely?
Probably need something of glass, I'd assume,
Hmm.
like they use for Aqua Regia.
It would be most valuable if kept intact. As is. Hmm.
Amusingly, it doesn't seem to react to it. It seems the fatty tissue, and he kind of sticks his hand between the muscle fibers and sort of pulls it out. And it seems, whereas like adders are not clean beasts when you cut into them. Again, that description of worms, big pile of worms as their internal organs, is relatively accurate. But this is almost disturbingly greasy. It looks as if it was a pile of worms held together with resolidified lard. Just stringy, fatty tissue that seemed to interconnect between it, making it far stiffer than usual. Which, if you've ever, like melted butter or fat and then let it, reharden, it can get surprisingly tough. It's similar to that. It's almost a sort of a fatty tissue or strata that lies between the muscle fibers, flexible but stiff. But now that the beast is dying, the fat's kind of going rancid. And as they're sort of pulling it out, you can kind of see it's sort of becoming a goo that's sliding downwards. We're not sure, but it seems to be using this to protect itself as well. We found the same kind of fatty tissue that seems... Well, he kind of stops for a second. I think that this may have been the starting point to the skin. I think it may have created this fatty tissue to protect itself.
So
He
there's
kind of rubs it between his fingers of his gloved hand.
so there's something inside there that it's attempting to protect?
No, I think it was trying to protect the core. I'm not sure how this fluid would react with the core. I mean, I see you had made some attempt at it. It seems it's shattered, but what happened when that happened? You
Well,
stopped
it's
suddenly.
splurted out a great deal of some sort of acidic liquid, and we had to go tend to our now freshly wounded party members.
So there was a pressurized reaction, a violent reaction?
Yes.
It's a lot like adder cores and pressure systems in towns. I can't speak from experience. You need someone from the engineering guild to cover it, but it seems like that combined with some sort of shard or core, you could possibly propel this thing to quite high pressures. Any contact with air would then burn quite violently. You'd have to be very careful. I'm pretty sure this material, and he kind of points to the fluid dripping out of the organ. I'm pretty sure this fluid is derived from the blood, but it seems to convert the blood wholeheartedly. There are separate pathways in the muscle fiber for traditional blood that went to where the core is to now this. I think what had happened is not that you had broken the core, but you had cut between those two pathways. To be fair, there's no way you would have known that. But this organ, this is something we've never seen.
Neither have I.
If the big ones had something like this, the devastation they could cause.
Jurgen slides his axe back into where it belongs and just crosses himself at the thought.
But there seems to be no connection between adders. They all seem to be a product of their environment more than anything.
Still
So
begs the question
think
of
we're
how this
safe.
one got down here to begin with.
Oh, one of my men found that out.
Oh?
Yeah, it's also why we didn't need the blowers after a while. And he kind of leads Jurgen and Brita and anyone else who happens to be down with them over towards the very, very, very back of the cavern. And he points up. And it's kind of hard to see. Right about here-ish. Oh, that's not the key I wanted. That's what I wanted. Right about there, there is a distinctive, ancient, like, hole. It seems to be covered at the top, either from rock or material, leaves, something has covered the entrance to it. But there's a very discernible effect. Something had broken through here. It seems when it fell through the sky, it just, by chance, hit the right spot and landed here. It must have been down here for 200 years. Completely isolated until those miners. Restricted by the area it came into.
Well, that explains its size and its unique build.
Yes, well, this is going to require a little longer to dissect than we thought. Obviously, if you want to properly preserve these specimens, we're going to need to call in some custom equipment.
Of course. Thinking back, it's been 2 days, right, Jay? And we had 10 days to do this?
Yeah.
So we've got 8 days left.
Yeah.
How much time would you say it would take?
It'll take 2 days. A day to get there, a day to require what we need, and then come back. So maybe 3 days? 3 days altogether?
For you to finish dissecting the beast?
Oh, no. No. We're probably going to need the full week on that.
A full
we're
7
going to
days.
Need to send off, yes.
Okay.
But we're going to need to send off for some. We need to. It has begun to burn through our pots. We started collecting the blood, but it's begun to burn through the casks. And then it just oozes all over the place.
Ugh.
We're going to need some stronger equipment.
Jurgen just nods. Alright, well, we may need to make a trip to the miners and talk to them about how close we're going to be hitting the time limit for this.
Well, I mean, you did the job, didn't you?
Yes, but they said that we have to have it out of here in 10 days, otherwise they'll consider the contract cancelled.
He kind of nods. Well, we'll work as quickly as we can, but what you have here is probably worth more than what you negotiated for.
That's a fair point. Either way, take your time, make sure your men are safe. That's more important. If the Miners Guild isn't willing to cooperate, then...
Well, we should be out of here before your 10 days is up, but it's going to be close. In fact, I would almost go and finish off your contract with them before you officially vacate. It may give you a little more time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for this update. And again, if there's anything else important, you can come to me or... I would say go to Zygmunt, but he seems a little out of sorts at the moment.
Oh, is he the one that has been wandering around camp? With that head injury?
Unfortunately.
Well, yes. I can imagine this would do quite a bit on one's nerves, too.
To me, my horse.
Oh, God.
Where's Adelbert?
It's like you're just wandering around the mine now, just
Yeah.
trying to find Adelbert. I think you should attend it.
I think so as well. Brita, would you come with me, please?
I'll go tie him down.
And let's just try getting him out of his armor first and remind him that we've slain the
How did he
beast.
get in his armor?
I don't know. It's very talented of him.
And with that, we're going to bring this episode to a close. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We'll see you next week.
And please tune in this Sunday for Voices in the Wilderness, a 13th Age game at
Hopefully
4 p.m. EST. The whole 4 p.m., 5 p.m. thing has been messing with me. But it's either 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. See you then. Have a good week, everybody. Bye-bye.